Long Way Around podcast. I'm Tony Jackson.
And I'm Kevin Sullivan.
There you are. Kevin Sullivan back in the house. It's okay. Back in the house. Kevin Sullivan. It is, wow. We made it to episode 9. Thank goodness, like, we haven't gotten shut down yet.
It's nothing short of a miracle.
You know what's a miracle? You and me, Kevin. Because back in the 1300s, like, we wouldn't even be here right now.
That's really true, honestly.
Facts.
We might have been thrown off the side of a cliff or something.
Yes, facts. So we are miracles in and of ourselves. The fact that we haven't been shut down yet, also a miracle. Welcome to another episode of the Long Way Around podcast. We are, oh man, this is a hot topic today.
It's convenient because we're going to be talking about how miraculous we are.
We are so miraculous. This is such a hot topic today. Today we are talking about every disabled person's favorite topic, chicken McNuggets. Now, today
they are tasty.
They are tasty, though, especially if done right. Today we are talking about inspiration porn. My goodness. Oh my goodness. Inspiration porn. Ugh. Why can't we just live our lives? Huh? Why, Kevin?
It's got to make it palatable, right?
Right. So for those of you that don't know, because I realize there might be some of you watching this or listening to this who have no idea what we're talking about. Inspiration porn is basically taking someone in this instance, and seeing them as unfortunate, as lesser, but yet they manage to do things that everyday normal ass people do, right? Like get out and go to the grocery store, or go to meetups and hang with friends, or go to dinner, or do all these other things. And some people who are very undereducated about what it's like to have a disability find inspiration in that. And they're like, oh my God, you're so inspirational. Oh, it's so good to see you out. Oh, I'm so happy to see you out here. Wow. You are so amazing. Right?
Is there any other group that creates inspiration amongst the people, like people with disabilities?
Athletes.
Yeah, that's true.
But other than that, I mean, seriously, it's like, and so, like, every person with an outward disability who is out and about in the world, especially if you're out and about in the world on your own, has run into this at some point. There are posters. If they can do it, why can't I? What's my excuse, right? You see that little poster of the little girl? She's like an amputee, right? And she's like running on her little like running blade, and the little caption underneath says, "What's your excuse?" She doesn't have an excuse. That's the whole point, right?
It's just who she is.
It's just who she is. It's just who we are. So we're talking about inspiration porn today, right? And it, man, there's so many different forms of it, right? So many different forms of it, right? So like there's the one I just described. Somebody sees you out at the grocery store buying mayonnaise, and they're like, oh my God, it's so good. You're so independent. So good to see you out. Right. Or there's let's see, what else? Give me another example, Kevin. Like maybe like, I don't know. I've been out. I'm actually shocked that I'm not a meme at this point, but there was one point where I was, for any of you familiar with Boston, there's a place called Faneuil Hall in downtown Boston, and there's a huge food court. And I remember I was coming home from a trip, I don't remember where, and I was hungry. I had not eaten on this flight. It was a long flight. And so I got off the plane. I was like, I need food. So I went to Faneuil Hall, grabbed myself a Sicilian slice at this little pizza joint, and I elevated my chair, had the person at the pizza joint put the plate on the table, and I just like fed myself. And I was like, and in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm going to become somebody's inspiration meme. I know it. And I was wrong. Thank goodness I was wrong. Because like, yeah, it looks miraculous to you, but through technology, I was able to raise myself high enough to eat this pizza. I just need to eat food. My hands don't work. So I just got to do it how I got to do it. Right. That's inspirational to some people, though. I'm sure some people are like, oh my God, look at that poor man.
My wheelchair raises up too, like yours does. And that really, I think people see that and they're like, oh my God, he's a sorcerer.
Right. Right. I mean, like, and it's cool. And look, don't get me wrong, it's kind of cool, right? Like, I thought it was cool at first when I got it,
It is
but
cool.
but like we are out there just doing regular people stuff. It just looks different because we have to do it differently, right?
Right.
So so you don't be inspired by that, right? Like I wear shoes just like you if you got legs, right? Like I'm wearing a t-shirt just like you. If you happen to be wearing a t-shirt right now, if you're not wearing clothes, good for you and enjoy your day. Um, but it's like yes, in certain regards, we're different. Of course, like this is how we are. These are the cards that we've been dealt. However, like we're problem solvers and we're hustlers because we have to figure out solutions and they look different. And to some people, those solutions are inspirational, right? To us, they're resourceful, right? And it's challenging sometimes. It's challenging because it it's 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 a hard standard to live up to, right? It is.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. I think there's this constant like expectation, that when you have a disability, you're always going to be kind of like happy go lucky, like, life never really gets you down.
Right.
But
Oh,
that's not reality,
no.
for anyone. And yeah, like I have good days, I have bad days. I have days where, I'm very social and I have days where I'm not very social. Like it doesn't it doesn't change just because we use a wheelchair to get around. And I think there's a lot of that stereotype again that like, disabled people like just like can't really do much. We just sit around and, sit around our computers all day. But, I think people often forget that like I mean we still have to go to the grocery store, we still have to go to wherever and run errands and do and live our lives.
Yeah.
But it does feel like it's gotten a little bit, it feels like it's gotten worse and better at the same time, that like people understand the dangers of like inspiration porn, but at the same time it's more prevalent than ever because of social media.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up, and I want to go back to it for a second. It, there's for some folks, not everybody, of course. There's just this th- this stereotype that if we're out and about, we got to be happy. Like things got to be going great, right? And we got to have such a good attitude all the time. I think a lot of us who have a good attitude don't have it because like we're just normally happy people all the time because like we get upset. Sure, of course. I think it we have this attitude because like it doesn't help to be miserable, right?
People are
Regardless,
a lot less willing to help you if you're an
I mean
asshole.
that's also true, also
Yeah.
true. But it's a hard standard to uphold when you treat somebody with a disability as if they are like they're infallible, like they can't make mistakes and they're happy all the time and they're a good person all the time. And yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm a good person. Like I don't say that because like it's weird to brag about that, but like
I mean,
generally speaking,
you work for a nonprofit.
no, I know some assholes who used to work for this nonprofit. Not all of them are good people, but
Okay,
uh,
that's fair. That's fair. That's totally fair.
but I mean, like I'm generally like a pretty good person. Most people will tell you like, yeah, Tony's cool, he's a good dude. Um, but when people don't know you and they're unfamiliar with disability or undereducated about disability, thank you, my friend Paul Schmidt, by the way, for giving me that term, undereducated. I like that. As opposed to ignorant, right? Undereducated, I like that. And so undereducated about disability, like they treat it as like this otherworldly thing, right? Like you're some kind of special being, right? This holy thing from another planet. And it's dangerous for so many reasons. One, it doesn't allow us to be human, right? It doesn't allow us to be angry or sad or upset or whatever, right? Like it and it also it also holds us up to a standard that's impossible for any human being,
Right.
right? We can't be happy all the time. We can't be joyous all the time. We can't be, outgoing all the time. We can't be all these things. Like, the spectrum of emotions runs through all of us. Even that happy go lucky person who has a disability and, like, they aren't physically or intellectually capable of doing a lot and they're happy most of the time. Those people also still have bad days, right? There are going to be days where, they feel depressed for a reason, or they feel lonely, or they're angry at somebody or something, right? And to place that upon people like us is dangerous, right?
Right.
Because, like, it makes us like deities when we're not, right?
Yeah.
We're not.
Yeah. It's just creating a false reality, like I remember when I was younger, I always felt like I had to like appease people
Yeah.
and present to them the most palatable version of myself. Like, yeah, like I felt like I always had to be like, yeah, like I have a disability, but I could do this, this, and this, and this is why you should hang out with me, or why you should invite me to whatever. So yeah, it's a lot of pressure, honestly. And you're just trying to fit in, trying to mingle, meet people, advance in your career, whatever. But it's a lot of pressure when, like, you're like, oh man, like I always feel like I have to like almost put on an act to a degree, where it's like, okay, like, yes, I have a disability, but I promise it's not that bad. It's not anything, you're not going to catch it.
Right. Actually, you know what, ladies, though, if you get too close, you might catch this arthro. You don't want that. So just be careful. Just be careful. It can be so dangerous because it it not only dehumanizes us in a way, it also robs us of our independence in a lot of ways, because people see us as somebody who, yes, they're doing these things, but they need me, they need help, they need this, they need that. Let me be there
Right.
for this person when sometimes I don't need you, right? Like,
Right.
let me just go do my
Exactly.
own thing. And it robs us of that desire, and more importantly, the ability to live independently within certain aspects of our lives, right? And so, like, I implore you, like, those of you who know us typically don't do this, so we're not talking to you necessarily, but if you happen
Yeah.
to stumble upon this episode somewhere and you don't know either one of us, or you don't know anybody with a disability, or you do and you're guilty of this, stop treating us like we're gods.
Right.
Unless unless you want to, like, feed us or something, then, give me a free meal. But generally speaking, we're not different than you, other than, like, yeah, I need help, after I, you know, do things like go to the bathroom or eat, right? Like, I need help with some things, but, like, mentally speaking, emotionally speaking, I'm very much like you.
Right.
And when you get to know us, you find that out very quickly. One of the things I love and one of the things I hate that I hear from friends is, man, after a while, I just forgot you were disabled. Cool. Well, now help me up these stairs because you guys walked up and I can't get up there. Right. But it's seriously, though, like, I'm sure you've heard that from your friends too, right? Like,
Yeah, and like, and I do appreciate it when they say, things like that, like, because like they mean it. It's not like they don't know I'm disabled, right?
yeah,
It's just they don't see me or you like that. And I do appreciate it when my friends say that, but at the same time, like, you're right, like, yeah, okay, you don't see me as someone with a disability, but like, we're going out to get dinner and I need someone to feed me, like, kind of need your help.
right. And our friends are cool with that, right?
Yeah,
Our friends are
yeah,
cool with that.
and our friends are cool with that, but like, you get random people and you just never know what you're gonna get, for sure.
You never do. And like, I I will say this, thank goodness for the media these days, because compared to even 5 years ago, the media in general, the entertainment industry in general, all of the visual aspects of like culture and entertainment and things like that have been doing a much better job of portraying disability. But that's because disabled people or people with disabilities, however you want to say it, I don't care. I just said disabled people, fight me. Have been leading the charge and dictating how we should be portrayed, right?
Right.
Like there are so many folks out there working so hard to make sure we get it right. Like there's a Keely Catwells. I hope I got her name right. She's out there working it. You know, her and Sophie Morgan, and I'm just naming off a couple of people I can think of right now. Just like out there doing their thing, right? And leading the charge to make sure that people with disabilities are treated as people first, right? The disability is only part of who we are, and that's how we'd like to be seen, right? That's how we want to be treated, right?
Well, we want to be portrayed accurately too, and authentically. I'd say, you know, how many people do you know who, if you ask them, have you ever seen a movie involving someone with a disability, would say like Rain Man, which is a good movie, but the actor is not disabled.
No, Dustin Hoffman did not have a disability, right?
Right. He doesn't have the disability that he's portraying. And there are many movies like that. There's that one, I always forget the name of it, with Bryan Cranston
Yeah.
and Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Where Kevin Hart is like his caregiver. You know, and Bryan Cranston is an amazing actor, and it's a decent movie, but he's not disabled.
No, Bryan Cranston was selling drugs 7 years ago out in the deserts of New Mexico.
Yeah, after he raised his you know, Malcolm and all the kids.
Yes. I mean, so it's like, and like they couldn't have found an actor with a disability who uses a wheelchair to play that part.
Right.
And I didn't see the movie. I'm sure Bryan Cranston did a wonderful job. In fact, I heard he was doing a lot of method acting, like falling over, right? Like, and asking people to help him up because he wanted to know what it was like. Bryan Cranston, unless, and no offense to you, I think you are a brilliant actor. Unless you become disabled, you will never know what that's like.
I will say though, in that movie, there is one scene that they nailed it. He gets in touch with like a former, you know, friend of his, a female friend of his, and they go to lunch, and she hasn't seen him in a long time, like since before his accident.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like eating lunch, and she's feeding him, and like you can just see that like she's like getting overwhelmed, like slowly but surely. And I thought like they portrayed that so well. How like, you know, sometimes people like kind of underestimate it a little bit of like, oh, like, you know, this is what you need help with. Like, I didn't realize, you know, I was going to have to actually like feed you, or I was going to have to help you with this or that.
Now, let me ask you this question. I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah.
Did they nail it though? And I ask you that question because I'm going to ask this question. I'm actually going to say this. Did they nail it though? Because if I ever find myself in a group of people that I don't know or I haven't seen in a long time, I always, and this is just me, I always say, hey, is somebody here willing to help me? Or if I'm just with one person, I will always say, are you comfortable with helping me eat?
Right.
And if the answer is no, right? If the answer is no, I'm totally fine with it, because I understand, right? Like no hard feelings. Let me just get a drink or whatever. Maybe let me find something I can eat myself. And if you're okay with that, cool. Now, I've never had anybody say no, right? Let me think about that. Maybe once, but there's somebody else in the group who's like, yeah, I can help you, no problem. But if I'm with somebody by myself and it's just me and them and we're out to lunch or whatever, I always ask, are you comfortable with helping me eat? And if they say yes, usually they're like, I've never done it before, but let's do it.
Yeah.
Right. And it usually turns out fine. And so that's why I ask you, did they really nail it? Because I bet you Bryan Cranston's character did not ask that question. They needed to do that for the drama of the movie, right?
Yeah, that's probably true. That's a good point now that you say that. I guess, yeah.
So I'm going to argue that they did not nail it. They again like made disability this other thing, right?
Yeah.
That's foreign and mysterious and bad and overwhelming. And I will say it made us a burden to other people in that moment in the movie. Yeah. Right? Now I just ruined that movie for you. You'll never watch it again. You'll be like, I hate this movie.
Well, but you brought up a good point. See, even I'm a little brainwashed.
See, Partly because you can use your hands, cheater.
That's why, huh? That makes me big
Seriously, you're
one.
like, I can use my hands, so I don't associate with you commoners, right? So,
But you can feed yourself. I
I mean,
can't.
sort of. I mean, you can. Yes, you can, just like I can, right?
Well, yeah,
You
I can
bend
eat
over
it
a
off a
plate.
counter like a dog,
Yes,
but
yes, right. Yes, I can do that. And so, yes, and so this is what I'm saying, right? And so this is why it's oh man, this is why it's dangerous, right? This is why inspiration porn is dangerous. We're people. We are people. And so this is why, again, so going back to what even brought this whole conversation up in the first place, this is why it's important to show disability authentically with real people with disabilities,
yeah,
because we have these things that we do, all of these sequences that we've created over the years to make it easier for other folks. Because look, I get it, like disability, while like it's only a part of who we are, it's a challenging part of who we are, and it makes people uncomfortable. I get it. However, we've created things over the years, systems for ourselves over the years, to make it more comfortable for not only us but for the people around us, and most people are comfortable with us, which is great. However, not everybody is. And so this is why we need to be out there doing our thing unfiltered, which I hate social media in general. I hate it. I despise it. However, that is one aspect of social media that is beneficial. It takes control of the narrative out of the traditional gatekeepers and storytellers, and it democratizes the entire process. Now anybody can tell their story.
right.
Everybody can tell their story, right? Like there are people out there like Ali Stroker, right? Ali Stroker, she is a wheelchair user. She's an actor. Was in Oklahoma. She won the Tony Award, didn't she? Right? I believe she
I,
won the Tony Award.
I have no idea.
I'm
You
sorry,
would know
Allie.
better than I would.
I'm sorry, Allie. I should know better, even though I shouldn't know better because I don't actually know you. And just because we're both in wheelchairs, I don't need to know. But Allie Stroker's like, she's out there doing her thing. She's got her own social media feeds that show her in her life as is. I met who's now my friend, Amy Van Dyken, right? Amy Van Dyken. Do you know who Amy Van Dyken is, everybody? She is a former Olympic swimmer, not Paralympic swimmer. She is a retired gold medal winning Olympic swimmer. She won like 6 gold medals in the 96 Atlanta Games. Unbelievable. She sustained a spinal cord injury in an ATV accident, and she is a wheelchair user now. And she is out there showing her life like, oh, I fell over. Oh, I burned myself. Right. I didn't know because I couldn't feel it. Right. Showing all the good things about her life and all the bad things about her life. Because this is what Amy's life is like now. There is, in more popular senses, there's Roll with Colin Charisma on YouTube. There's Squirmy and Grubs, right? Those two, all those folks, those couples are great. They're great people, right? I don't know them personally, but they seem like great people. That's life with disability authentically. It demystifies it and hopefully gets rid of some of the inspiration porn.
Mhm.
I just went on a rant.
No, but I mean, I think you bring up a good point, honestly, that, sometimes you'll hear people, typically from older generations, you will be like, oh, like when I was growing up, we didn't have people with disabilities or this disability, that disability. But like, it's also because it's easier for us to be more visible these days and get our story out there and be participants in society. So you're right, like social media has really democratized that and given, I know, you and myself a platform that we probably wouldn't have otherwise. Not that we have like a huge following by any means, but
Huge. It's huge, Kevin.
we,
Stop.
yeah,
Huge.
huge,
Massive.
huge. But we do have a a decent sized following, and I know for a fact that things that I've posted about issues that I've dealt with, people have brought them up to me, or they've been like, hey, like, I encountered this at my office or my school or whatever. This is how I handled it, and I did it because based on how you handled a similar situation that you posted about. So like, Yeah, I mean, it makes a huge difference. Just like just being more visible, honestly,
It is.
if it's used properly.
Right. And you know, and for the elderly folks out there who didn't see disabled folks when you were younger, there's a reason for that. It's because they were all locked away
Right.
in homes out in the middle of nowhere where nobody would see them. There were
Right.
homes.
Or in an institution.
Homes.
Yeah. Quote unquote homes.
Homes. All
Yeah.
right. They still exist, unfortunately. In 2025, they still exist. But that's the reason why elderly folks didn't see them, because they weren't allowed to be seen. Now we are being seen because the internet has democratized the entire planet, for better or worse. You decide.
That's a whole other episode right there.
That's a whole other episode that I don't even want to get into.
Yeah.
But it's so we're not your inspiration. There's an old 80s commercial with Charles Barkley.
Yes.
Right. Says
I'm not a role model.
I am not a role model, and he's not. Right.
Right.
People have put him on this pedestal because he's a celebrity. Back then, because he was one of the best players in the National Basketball Association. So they put him on a pedestal and they expect him to act a certain way because of it. Charles Barkley had his thing, right? Like he was like, I don't care who you are, right? I'm me. I'm gonna do my thing, and don't treat me like garbage just because I'm a celebrity, because I will throw you through a window, which he had done when he lived here in Arizona. But don't put him on a pedestal, right?
Yeah.
He's a human being. He just happens to be a basketball player. Don't put us on a pedestal. You know, we're a human being. We just happen to have a disability.
Right.
Do not put us on a pedestal, please. Again, unless it's for a free meal, because like feed me, please. That'd be great.
Yeah, exactly. If we get something, if we benefit from it, then it's okay.
Sure, please. Yeah, of course. Yeah, only if we benefit from it. If we don't benefit from it, though, then please.
But no, you're right. And I think a lot of the time people mistake inspiration for motivation. I personally view inspiration as, it's a temporary feeling that makes you feel good. But it's very brief, and you watch a video and you're like, okay, that was really, I feel all warm and fuzzy inside. But I would say people really need to focus on being motivated from, whatever message we're trying to convey. Because I consider motivation to be, they're actually taking action.
Yes.
You talked about whatever issue and I wrote to my senator, blah, blah, blah. That to me is like the proper response. You're motivated to change something, or you're motivated to help or do whatever.
Yes. So I'm going to distill it in a different way. Maybe not distill it, but I'm going to reframe it in a different way. If seeing us do what we do inspires you to do something, whether it's like downhill skiing for me, like people like, you downhill ski, holy crap, I should go downhill skiing. You can do it, I can do it, right? If it inspires you to do something like that, cool. If it makes you feel good for 5 minutes, don't do that. All right, don't do that. Now, this actually kind of brings me to something. When somebody tells you that you're inspiring, Kevin, how do you react?
If someone tells me I'm inspiring, I usually am just like, oh, thanks. And I just kind of brush it off, to be completely honest. Because like, it's one of those things that like, that people mean well. It's not like they're saying it like in a bad context, it's just, they don't realize that like, it's like, I really wish you'd use like a different word, use something else.
Yeah.
So I usually just brush it off and don't make it a big deal. What about you?
Same for the most part. Now, this actually, oh man, right in the middle of this episode, gave me an idea for a new episode. And I'll get to it in a moment. Usually I take the same approach, right? Usually, hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Have a good day. Right? Now, what I'm getting at, though, is like some people get angry by this, right? It upsets some people when folks come up to them and say, oh my God, you're such an inspiration. Like it angers them, right? And now here's my show idea. Let's write it down. There seems to be, and not always. I'm not stereotyping everybody. I feel like if you are born with your disability, or if you acquired it when you were very young, you have a certain way of looking at things. Whereas if you acquired your disability when you were older,
Oh, 100%.
okay. So we can talk about that another day. Write that down. Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, so I usually take the same approach that you do. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And for a minute I was like, okay, cool. I inspired them. And then for a minute I was like, I'm not your inspiration, right? And now I'm just like, no, okay, cool. We go about our lives, right? But there are some people out there who genuinely get upset about being an inspiration for others, right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, here we go. I'm going to ask this hot question. Here it is. Why are you getting angry? Why can't we be an inspiration for other people?
Right.
Why can't we be an inspiration for other people? Because now I'm going to look at this from the other side, right? You grew up, you never had anything physically wrong with you, or cognitively or mentally like off about you. You've led a relatively normal life, right? And you run into me or Kevin for the first time, and you don't know anything about us. You don't know anything about disability because you grew up in some small town, out in the middle of Idaho somewhere, right? You never met anybody with a disability, and you come to a city and you see us doing our thing. We're out eating lunch together, and Kevin's feeding me with his plank arm, right? He's balancing a sandwich on his plank arm, and I'm eating it off his arm. All right, I'm just making up a story. Just follow me here. Follow me.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, that's cool. That's awesome, right? That's inspiring. Two dudes out doing their thing. Damn right, we're out doing our thing. Why can't we be inspiring for other people? Because I had to actually sit down, and when I stopped getting angry about it, because I was for a moment getting angry about it. Like, I don't want to be your inspiration because I'm not any different than you. Even though, hey, guess what? I am in a certain way, right? So I had to step out of myself for a moment and see it from that other person's perspective. And I was like, okay, I can see, okay, I can see why. I get it. I get it. I don't want to be your inspiration. I can see why though, right? I can see why. And so what really solidified this, like really solidified this for me, was back in March 2025. If you're watching this later, I was at a conference called VO Atlanta, Voiceover Atlanta. It's the largest voiceover conference on the planet. There's actors, there's agents and managers, and everybody who's anybody in the voiceover world is there. And I happened to be on a panel this year, the first time ever in voiceover history that there was a panel about disability. And so there were 7 of us on the stage talking about our individual experiences living with disability in the voiceover community at this conference. And so the next day, this guy comes up to me. He goes, "Hey, you don't know me. I'm pretty sure his name's Ryan. If you're listening to this and I got it wrong, I'm sorry, I can't remember." So he comes up to me. He goes, "Hey, I just want to say I really enjoyed your panel yesterday. And in fact, like, I was in the back and I was watching it, and I was like, oh my God, this is so good." And I started crying. And he goes, like, I don't know, I don't look like I have a disability, but a couple of years ago I was diagnosed with a condition, and like I almost died in the ocean a couple of years ago. And so like when I was diagnosed with this condition, like it just made me think all these things. And then like seeing all of you up on stage told me that if these folks can do it, so can I. Right. And I was like, damn, right? Damn, there is something to that, right?
Yeah.
And in that case, all of us on that stage served as an inspiration to him. If everybody else got inspired and felt good for 5 minutes, okay, whatever. But that dude, Ryan, I hope that's your name. If not, it is right now. We truly inspired him because he saw all of us up on, and like there were all folks with all kinds of disabilities up there. We had one guy with spina bifida. We had 3 wheelchair users up on that stage. We had some folks with invisible disabilities. Four people up on stage in mobility devices. Sorry, Carlin. All of us up on stage, and all of us are voice actors, right? And that one guy came up to me and he said, "Man, you guys are so inspiring. It made me believe that I can do this too." That's inspiring.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And goes back to what you were saying.
And it's all about context, right? I gave a speech once at a school. It was to a class of 8th graders, and that's the group that I really like talking to the most, you know, like right before they enter high school and things change, and you know, and obviously they deal with the trials and tribulations of high school. But I was giving a speech, and there was one kid there who he had some sort of disability. I don't remember exactly what, but the teacher, who was my connection, how I got the speech, and also taught this one student, she told me like a couple weeks after, she was like, yeah, by the way, like so and so, when he came to my class after you spoke that day, he was like, man, like I legitimately thought he was talking about my life at times. So yeah, like it is okay to like be an inspiration under the right circumstances, you know. And if I was an inspiration for that kid, like great, you know, hopefully it made his schooling, you know, journey a little bit easier. But it's certainly all about context for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Like, so I used to go, my friend is an elementary school teacher, and I used to go to his class and talk to his kids about me, right? And like he would ask me to show them how I write, because you know kids don't know, right? Like
Mhm.
adults don't know, but kids, you know, kids don't know. They so I would write my name, I would sign my name, and he would put it on the little like overhead projector thing, and they go, oh my god, wow. And then I remember once he called me up afterwards, he goes, man, Tone, the kids loved you in there. In fact, after you left, they all like put a pencil in their mouth and tried to write their names with their mouths. I was like, that's cool. That's fun, right?
I
That's
love
fun,
that. That's great.
right. And
Yeah.
so like that's inspiring and that's cool. Like these kids aren't getting a feel good dopamine hit for 5 minutes because they look at this, oh my god, look at this poor disabled guy, but he's still doing his thing. I feel good about myself now. That's not that. Those kids were like truly like mesmerized. They're like, wow, that's really cool, right? And
Mhm.
and like you were saying earlier, it called them into action to do something new, try something different, right? Like you know that the kid who saw you speak called him into action. He was like, if he can do it, I can definitely do it as well, right?
Right.
Like that kind of inspiration is cool. I'm fine with that. The other
Yeah,
stuff
and
though,
that's a big reason why I do it, you know. It's like when I was in school, I don't know about you. I mean, I don't remember there ever being a speaker or anyone with a physical
no,
disability. Yeah.
no, no,
Yeah.
especially when I spent 2 years of high school in South Korea. You think there are any disabled people in South Korea roaming around? Maybe there are now. In the 90s, they were also locked away in homes. All
Yes.
right. I was the only
Yeah.
person in a wheelchair out on the streets of Seoul back then. All right. You should
Yeah.
have seen the stares I would get, you know, because you don't see that kind of thing.
Right.
Right. And so this is why we need to be out and about doing our thing authentically, right? With no filter. This is why it's important.
Hmm.
So while porn in some contexts is great, inspiration porn is not. Okay. Get it straight,
Yes.
people.
Yes. Absolutely.
Man. All right. Well, on that note, then, I think we've beat this one to death today, and hopefully it stays dead. But I'm sure it will resurrect somewhere along the way and haunt us again somewhere. But
Inspiration porn never goes away. It just takes a
inspiration,
different form.
that's right. It doesn't die, and that's
Yeah.
okay. We'll just keep fighting the good fight, Kev.
Yes, that's all we can do, Tony. That's why we're here.
That's why we're here fighting the good fight. And on that note, that was episode 9. How did we get to episode 9? That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm impressed with us.
I'm impressed with us. I think
Look
it's
at
great.
look at us. Look at go team.
Go team. So we'll be back for episode 10 as long as YouTube doesn't shut us down. We'll be back. We'll be back.
We should be fine.
We'll
We
be
should be
fine.
fine.
So anyway, on that note, make sure if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button down there, like us, follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and here TLWA podcast. Email us at some point, the long way around podcast at gmail.com. I'll say it one more time slower. The long way around podcast at gmail.com. Hit us up. Tell us what you think. And yeah, that's it. Episode 9 in the books. I'm Tony
Thanks for
Jackson.
tuning in.
Yeah. Kevin, say bye.
Bye.
There we go. See ya.
See ya.